I just can't take this no more.
Hello. You've reached the targeted individual hotline. If you feel that your life is in immediate danger,
stalker's trying to kill me.
911. Please listen carefully, as our menu options may have changed. If you're a victim of workplace harassment, press 1.
Y'all going crazy, press
If
2.
you're being victimized by a disinformation campaign or being harassed on social media, press 2.
We all be making lies up about
If
me.
you've been hearing voices or feel you are the victim of directed energy weapons, please press 3.
Left butt cheek still be
For a
tingling.
conversation about gang stalking with Dr. De Facto, please
Oh,
press 4.
hell no. I finally, I'll talk to that boy. You nasty old gang stalker. Tell him a targeted individual.
Please hold while we connect your call.
Hell, I'll wait. You got a thing that you tell that boy. Dr. Gangstalk, he probably set this whole thing up.
Everybody shake it, baby.
Hello, this is Dr. De Facto. Who am I speaking with?
I'll tell you who you speaking with, boy. Someone who knows you ain't no damn gang stalking doctor. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay. Well, if you don't want to tell me your name, that's fine. What would you like to talk about?
Well, how about we start with the fact you're a damn gang stalker? Helicopter flying, one headlight sporting, red shirt wearing, energy weapon butt zapping, street theater double talking, gaslighting gang stalkers, what you are.
Well, wait a minute now. It sounds like the sensitization is starting
Oh no,
to...
talk about sensitivity. The only thing sensitive is my left butt cheek after you damn gang stalkers shooting it with those energy weapons.
Well, I understand your paranoia. Let's start over.
Don't act all smug with me, Dr. De Facto gang stalking doctor my butt.
Oh, come on now. Let's just...
You're probably sitting up in the fusion center right now looking at me on a television screen. I know y'all got cameras in here.
Now, listen, I understand your frustration. Let's just talk about this and...
Hell no, I see how you're going to send the damn helicopters. That's probably you right there.
It's obviously a coincidence.
Coincidental, just like all the stuff you say on your channel has to do with me. Oh, hell no, now you got the damn ambulance. All I got to say is
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, guys. Hope I didn't go too far with that one. I sure had a lot of fun making it. Taking some time off. No, you don't need to start crying. Oh, the kitty. She got sick. She's better now. Something tried to take her head off, and I don't know if it was a dog or another big cat or something. Or all the people driving down the alley at 50 miles an hour now that they graded it. Oh, the potholes keep people from going too fast. And then they come and they fix the damn thing, and now everybody's flying down the alley like it's a highway. No, honey, you don't need to. No, she gets jealous. She does. She has a control issue with me. And I know if I ever just want to get her attention, I just start making a video or I start talking on the phone, and she's got to wear one of those cones, and she's doing pretty well with those. She's been being a pretty good little cone head. Are you a cone head? No. Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about paranoia because it's something that all targeted individuals deal with. Okay. I've made videos about it before. I made a video called 80%. And, when you're a targeted individual, you never know when you're going to get attacked. You never know where it's coming from. You don't know what you're going to be dealing with. You just don't feel safe. And a lot of the... Honey, hold on. I'm going to have to put the cat in her little bed or something. Yeah, it's time to go lay down. Come on. No. Okay. No, you can just with your little toy. All right, guys. I was kind of tempted to be paranoid about what happened to the cat because she doesn't go out very often. She doesn't. She goes out for just a little bit every day after I got her spayed and got her shots and everything because the owners that lived here before just left her behind. Yeah, she wanted to get in, as soon as I started living here. And she would wait for me when I got off work, and she would come and follow me to the door. Every day she would come out there and meet me at the truck. How could I let her freeze in the winter? It gets pretty cold here. But I was tempted to be paranoid about that. You know, I mean, I have no evidence to suggest that anybody did anything to her, but, you know, that there isn't any other, cats in the neighborhood that are injured like that. And she was one of their little clan, you know. She was basically a feral cat until I got here, but I don't know how long she was abandoned. But she was friends with all of them until I got her spayed. She was mating and everything like that with them, and I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't have any evidence of that. I've talked about that with pets before for targeted individuals. You know, we get attacked in a lot of ways that, what are you going to say? I mean, you can't prove what's going on, just like all the classic stuff that happens with targeted individuals. If you get a break-in or whatever, nobody steals anything. The methods are so unorthodox that you can't report it to the cops. And a lot of targeted individuals are just regular people before they start getting hunted down. And, when all this stuff happens to them, they confide in people or they try to get help. And it's understandable, but of course what happens? Nobody believes them, right? And, you can get on paper, and then it's real tough, because the first thing that pops into someone's mind when you talk about stuff like this, anyway, whether you're on paper or not, whether you're, wearing a three-piece suit or whatever, you look nuts, right? There are things that can make you less credible, I guess, but I don't even think it would matter. This stuff is just that bizarre, And it's another thing to be paranoid about. We're going to talk about that paranoia. I didn't even, I haven't had a pet for a long time. I even got rid of my fish. They went after those. They were getting into the trailer where I was living and stabbing them. And, you pop the swim bladder on a little goldfish, and then they sink down to the bottom of the, either that or they just flip around and they can't swim. It just depends on how bad they get. And I had one little Casper. Oh. And she lived for about 5 or 6 months at the bottom of the tank. And I had to get the sinking pellets, and I dropped them in there, and she would spin around. And well, she was cute, though. She used to talk. Don't ever believe that fish don't have personalities and then they're not smart, and they get attached to you, and they will do little dances for you. I had one little Jiggles, I called her, and she would do a real bizarre little dance every time I came in the room, and that's their way that they'll talk to you. If you have fish, you know what I'm talking about. You'll walk in the room and they'll do a little dance for you, and that's their way of saying hi. Casper would do that, but she would also smack her mouth on top of the water, and it was so loud you could hear her. If I walked by and I didn't come and say hi to her, she would let me know. I'd be all the way at the other end of the trailer, and you could hear her smacking her little mouth until I come over there. Boy, she was just, you better get over here. And then little Charlie, I had him for 7 years, and then they started the campaign where they wanted to drive me crazy or kill me or get me to kill somebody else. Yeah, he made it for quite a while without food. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but he went into the death roll, and he lasted forever. He was a healthy little fish. But anyway, that's kind of depressing. But it makes you leery to do anything, and that's part of the paranoia. You don't want to get into auto loans, that are significant. Just even making a schedule where you're making commitments is dangerous. I've talked about that before. That you gotta keep your schedule free. If you're in one of those positions, depends on how you're being attacked, I guess, because you just don't know what's going to happen, and it's just one more way to mess with you. I've dealt with that before, and it's also a way to get called out. Okay, you can get set up that way as a targeted individual too. to where you'll just get spread thin and you're wore out, things are happening, or you get lured away from your dwelling, and the whole thing gets nuts, or they'll throw a campaign on you to keep you awake, or you never know. A lot of targeted individuals will talk about that. They have maybe a doctor's appointment that's serious, or maybe a job interview or something, and then they'll get hit with a bunch of different types of attacks, and then what do you say? A lot of people lose their jobs for stuff like that. Targeted individuals deal with a lot of pressure, and it's hard to deal with it. And there's a lot of things that they're trying to accomplish by doing all that. Of course, they want you paranoid. That's obvious, right? That's the first thing that happens to targeted individuals. And then they want you to just grind metal. They want you to worry. They want you to become consumed with this stuff and become dysfunctional. And then, they want to gaslight you ultimately, right? But they also want you to give up, okay? And that's, I've talked about that before. The strategy changes, and you think it's over, maybe even, and it starts up again. You'll get knocked down. They just want to see how many times you'll get up, I think. I mean, it depends on what you're dealing with. Some of you guys are that person, they just want to stick to the dartboard on the wall and deter people from ever going against that social dynamic, the group, the herd, the Borg. They know what's going to happen. And there's just things out there that you can look at that would prove that too. I've mentioned before, how many people know about what's going on? And, well, a good example would be, some of the stuff that we're dealing with is just ridiculous, right? There's a lot of contradictions about Ukraine. You can go into something like 9/11, for example, and I don't think anybody with half a brain wouldn't know it was, very suspicious, to say the least. But you could bring something like that up, and people, no, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. Come on, that was Bin Laden. What are you talking about? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a good indicator, isn't it? And yeah, you got to fit in. There's other people that are probably being experimented on, and it has to do with the same thing. If there's a whistleblower or whatever, what better way to silence them, discredit them, or just get rid of them than the covert methodology used in gangstalking? I think it's very effective. There's a lot of stuff, and then there's the control freaks. They've got to play God. They don't have control over their lives, and it goes into the spiritual dimension with all this stuff. I'm not deviating from any of that. I think underneath all these people are being controlled and manipulated. I think everybody is. But you're dealing with an orchestrated menagerie that a lot of people, they're blinded to certain things, or other people are just coerced. The people that know, well, they're not going to turn against the Borg. The people that don't know, well, they're just blind. And you have that out there. You have a functioning kingdom, right? The kingdom of darkness. They've got to have things to work with, right? You can't turn everybody into a paranoid freak and expect the world to run normally. You have to parcel that kind of stuff out, which explains a lot. But anyway, so I think that the paranoia thing is huge, because a lot of the things that targeted individuals will be worried about are legitimate. They are absolutely 100% a possibility that could happen at any time, but it doesn't happen all the time. And a lot of the discrediting that goes on with targeted individuals is when people are looking from the outside in, and you don't even have to read into anything. It's just obvious that you're paranoid. It's obvious you're worried about things, and you can only cover up so much, especially if you got those infiltrators that get into your circle and kind of set you up to where it's obvious depending on what you're dealing with. But there's no getting around it. That's one of the good things about protocols, and I've talked a lot about that, where you just, instead of jumping from one foot to the next, wondering if this is okay or you can do this or that, just drop it for a while, man. Find an alternate way to get around it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're getting a lot of break-ins, for example, and you're worried that you're getting covertly drugged or somebody's doing stuff to your food or whatever, well, don't use the fridge. Be a European shopper until things mellow out, right? And that way they're not really taking anything. You're not sitting around wondering while you're at work or whatever you're doing when you leave your house. A lot of targeted individuals are afraid to leave their house. They get those types of attacks. They get people breaking in, tampering with their personal property. You're worried about the cameras. You're worried about the bugs. You're worried about what they're doing. Who knows what the hell they're doing? And they know that. They don't even have to do anything once they mess with you. They could just do it like once or twice, right? Put something in your food that made you sick or do something. And then, all they got to do is just walk in the front door and, move something around in your kitchen table and leave. And then you get home and you're like, wow, what'd they do? Oh my gosh, nothing is safe. Try to, feel comfortable about $300-400 worth of brand new groceries after something like that happens. I played that game before. And what do? Well, you just got to develop a protocol. That way the damage is lessened. You don't have to deal with $300 for the groceries you're paranoid of. Yeah, that's not fun. There's probably some of you out there, really? Yeah, I mean, it can get worse, guys. I'm not in the habit of underestimating things that I see online. But every now and again, I wish that's all I had to worry about. I wish I was just worried about, one headlight things and the red shirts. And I didn't even know about that stuff until I started looking online, and I never would have guessed that. I have a little bit different experience probably than some people, I guess, and I know there's a lot of you out there that you're dealing with some pretty wild stuff. But they like those times of vulnerability, that really kicks in the paranoia, doesn't it? Right? You're one of those new targeted individuals who's had break-ins and you're in the shower. Okay. You've had threats. You've had some aggressive street theater. You've maybe even dealt with some personal, property damage, whatever. And there you are in the shower with an AK-47, because you don't know what the hell's going to happen, right? Or you're sleeping with weapons, or you have ridiculous locks and maybe even traps. I've set traps in my house before. It's illegal too, by the way. I've come up with some pretty nasty ones, man. I'm not gonna lie. At first I didn't think that it was illegal. I figured, hey, if somebody's, trying to come into your house, and you're, fearing for your life, at that point, are you really breaking the law, man? If you put a bear trap, under your, bedroom window, just in case somebody comes in, it's really, I don't know. It is though. It's illegal. I couldn't believe it. But you know what? I'll do it anyway, and I'll take the penalty. You should see some of the deadfall traps and just, I know I sound like a nut, but yeah, just wait till somebody breaks into your house, takes your clothes off, drugs you, does all kinds of other things I'm not even going to get into. Yeah, it changes your mind. It does. I know people that sleep with guns that they've never even dealt with this kind of stuff, I have a tendency to sleepwalk, and I got an itchy trigger finger. You want to come on over and spend the night? Nah. Oh, okay. How about you come camping with me? You mind if I bring the wood chipper? I think I'll pass. But, getting back to the irrational fear, is it? Is it really irrational? Is it really irrational paranoia? Because if it's real, it's not paranoid. I just talked to an old friend, and he said that, he's dealt with some things just from the riots and everything that were going on that, people are crazy. You don't have to be a victim of gang stalking to have people break into your house and try to hurt you, He does. He sleeps with a gun, too. And that actually goes to another issue, because a lot of times targeted individuals are set up. They are pushed to the point where they get firearms, they get a bunch of stuff going. Not only do they look nuts, but they get pushed in ways that can make them depressed or angry, and you could react. Targeted individuals deal with things that are just beyond. And having those firearms around, I don't know. There's been times where I just, get the guns away from me, because I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I'm going to admit it. I'm going to admit it. I'm not trying to, sugarcoat anything, because I've thought about that stuff before. I know some of the people that have been involved in this whole thing. And I had my first gun when I was 6 years old. And just put it this way, if you're within 400 yards, I don't care how fast you're going, and if I have a gun, you're going to die. Okay, just put it that way. You're not going anywhere. You better run behind something really quick. So anyway, I'm not threatening anybody. I'm just saying that's the way it is. And I mean, how do you get out of that? I mean, you got people who are threatening your life. They're scaring the hell out of you. They're stalking you. They're doing all these things. They're attacking your dwelling. They're attacking you. They're attacking your property, your little friend, pets, and everything else. And I don't know. That's a whole other ball of wax right there. I would recommend that if you're dealing with a lot of stuff, to use your judgment. If you feel unsafe, it might be a strategy to push you into doing that. I talked to a guy up in Washington, and he was talking about getting a gun, and I didn't think it was a good idea. The stuff that he was dealing with, in my opinion, it was more psychological, but there's that time where it crosses the line. And I've talked about that a lot too, because you have to stand firm, okay, when you're getting harassed, whether it's your job or where you live or something like that. You have to play the game right, or you're going to be bouncing around so much that they will just accumulate evidence against you, or they will cripple you financially, right? The same thing. I've heard people talk about the fact that they're moving around from job to job to the point where now they've got this accumulated weird job history, and people, they want to know what's going on, and you got to come up with creative explanations, right? But getting back to the point, you have to know when to go too, because there is a time to get the hell out. And I've made that mistake. I bunkered in a couple times to where it was a bad idea. I should have left. I should have gotten out of that trailer a long time before I did. I didn't think it would get that ugly. I didn't think they would do that. I thought that they were just trying to, drive me crazy within the realm of their form of reasonability. I'm not going to go off on that tangent, but I was wrong, and I should have left. I was waiting for money from a lawsuit. I didn't have much longer to go, and it was just one of those things. And then everything fell in on me. The lawsuit turned out to where I was going to get, payments instead of a lump sum. It got ugly real fast, and I found myself going, damn, I should have got out. I should have gotten out of there and gotten into a different dwelling, but I just, it is what it is. Oh, there's a lot of things to consider when you get attacked like this. There is. And paranoia goes into the gaslighting process, because you're going to get accused, you're going to be paranoid. That trauma is going to affect you, and people they're going to notice it. And, you're going to read into things. There's going to be all kinds of problems. You have to deal with the shame. You might feel like a freak or whatever, or you might just be embarrassed because of all the things you've had to deal with, moving around from job to job or whatever. But it's the superstructure. It is the foundation of gang stalking. You can't have it without paranoia. And if you're one of those people out there that are feeling ashamed, you feel like a freak or whatever, don't. That's part of this strategy. And if you got friends or people around you and you suspect that they don't even know about this and they're flipping you flack, you know what? They're the ones with the problem as far as I'm concerned, okay? I've mentioned that people go about it in a way that just kind of reveals who they are. People have a tendency to vent on targeted individuals. They're scapegoats. They are. And there's a lot of frustration to go around out there. I think the Kingdom of Darkness sees to that. And it's a good mechanism to keep people in their little dance. But there's going to be a huge percentage of things that you're going to be worried about that may never happen to you. It may never be a factor, but that's kind of the methodology behind this, right? Life is like that. People are like that without being gang stalked. They're worried about maybe cancer or whatever. Getting a vehicle accident or something. I've seen people that get attacked in different ways, and I think it's spiritual, where they, start having a lot of dysfunction, maybe on bridges and stuff like that at first, and then it moves over into other areas where they can't even drive a vehicle anymore. I've had weird stuff like that happen to me, and you just gotta fight it. But I also made a video called Mind Virus. It was one of my first videos. I erased that, and some people reacted in a way that was negative because I don't think they understood what I was talking about. It's not that what you're experiencing is not real, and now you have this virus and it's all in your head. You just got to get over it. No. Okay, anybody who is a victim of gang stalking is gonna get the virus. That's the emphasis. It's kind of like that movie, I can't remember what it was, where, if you got caught by a foreign power or whatever, you were going to get tortured. Okay, that was part of the training. And the whole idea, after everything was over and the guy that got caught thought he failed because he finally did talk. They did some things to him to where he finally gave in. And the whole message was everybody talks. Everybody, don't get caught, because if you get caught, man, they'll figure, something out. Eventually, they'll keep you alive until you just succumb to all the pressure. And that's the realistic side of it, because they're not just going to kill you. They're not just going to waste, a couple days, roughing you up or doing a bunch of stuff that's unimaginable, then kill you. They'll keep you alive until they get the information out of you, But that was kind of a tangent. But everybody gets paranoid when it comes to gang stalking. There isn't anybody that I've ever heard of that didn't get paranoid. Okay, so that mind virus is just something that you got to deal with, right? Because that's the way it is. Now you're going to be worried about things that you normally wouldn't even have thought about. And it's going to tax you unless you figure a way around it. And that's why I emphasize protocols. Because if you figure something out, it's kind of like, I'll use another example so you can understand what I mean. I had this guy that I was hanging out with for a while, and he had some neighbors that were driving him nuts, okay? They were playing a particular type of music that he hated, and they were playing it very loudly. And sometimes they would, drive by his house, even during the day while they were at work, and just blast the stereo. I think they knew it drove him nuts. And he called me up one day. He's like, I'm going to kill him. That's the only thing I can do. I'm not moving. I don't have the money. I'm on disability. I'm like, hey, man, just calm down, But, of course, that's easier said than done. He's like, I want some advice, and I want you to tell me what I should do, or I'm going to freak out. I'm like, okay, well, it's what I do. You develop a protocol. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to, let God take care of it. And I'm going to give this whole situation a certain amount of time before I even go after it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to try and figure it out. I'm not going to try and stop or control what someone else is doing. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to develop a protocol, whatever that is, earplugs, whatever you're going to do, and just give it like 6 months or a year or whatever. And that way you're not, it's because it will drive you crazy. I've talked about that when it comes to sensitization. You're like, oh, if that happens, I'm going to lose it. Not one more time. Like, there it is. And you're anticipating things. And it just makes it worse. Just drop it, man. Expect it. It's going to happen. And when you're a victim of gang stalking, you're going to get attacked. People are going to do that. It's just like that dude, man. He's like, what do I do if they do it? They're gonna. They're going to. You don't need me to tell you what they're going to do. Whether they're going to get a rise out of you or get what they want, that's a whole nother story, right? So, yeah, guys, protocol is good because it's a no-brain situation. You don't have to sit around and think about it. You don't have to grind metal. You know exactly what you're going to do. You have taken it off the plate and put it in someone else's hands. Give it to God. And it doesn't necessarily work with everything. There's, like I said, sometimes you do have to do something. Sometimes you do have to leave or whatever. There are times of action. But I'll use that. I'll use that protocol and I'll give it time. Sometimes I'll give it quite a bit of time. Sometimes it's 3 to 5 years. Depends on what you're dealing with. I learned that early on, setting a finish line is dangerous. And I've talked about that before too, where new targeted individuals think that, 2 years is just unimaginable. They get out to 5 years and they just don't know, if anybody in the whole world has ever done what they've done. Everybody thinks it. And there's actually a lot of people out there that have been dealing with this stuff. You get out to 10 years and it's pretty crazy. You can get pretty hopeless. But at the same time, you just have to look at this whole thing as being something that the whole world is subjected to in one way or the other. Not everybody is going to be subjected to gang stalking, but they are subjected to futility in one form or another, and we're all headed to the same place. And we're all going to get there eventually. That's one thing that I remember when I see all this stuff around me. It looks like people are getting away with it or whatever. They're prospering while they're doing all these things to you, and it just doesn't seem fair. But, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to remember me for a long time after this is over. And they're not going to want to be thinking about that. There's a lot of people that are going to be remembering you. Whoever you are listening to this, and they shouldn't have done those things to you. It's your little picture is going to be on their cell in hell. And they're going to have to reckon with that. And, well, it's definitely not going to be worth it. Some of you might disagree with me, but I really believe that. However that works. Ultimately people owe God and they've sinned against him, but there's a way that, that this stuff works out. And I've mentioned that before. I think that we're the bait more than we are the prey in this whole thing. I mean, we're getting hunted down. We're getting harassed. There's no doubt about it. But I think the greater condemnation is going to fall on the shoulders of the perps, and they knew better. They didn't have to do that. Hopefully this video has helped you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be safe.